So yeah, there's just kind of that on that, and I'm just gonna kind of wrap up with the what we call 50, 500, and 5,000. Um, just kind of something we just wanted to talk about in terms of a lot of questions that I get from people is I don't really know much about investing. I have this amount. What should I do? And it's normally, like either $50. Somebody might have $500 or 5,000. So I just kind of wanted to put some color around that in terms of just options or things to think about if you find yourself in one of those particular situations. Now, the caveat to that is before you kind of look to investing, I always kind of tell people this. If you have some excess cash around that you're looking to do something with, I would surmise, generally, I would try to eliminate debt with it. Because it's just kind of counterproductive. If you got 3 or 4 credit cards with $4,000 on it, and you get your stimulus check or whatever for $1,200 or whatever excess funds you have around, and you're like, oh man, what can I invest in? I would invest in eliminating anything that's occurring interest. So any debts that you might have that might be occurring interest. I mean, you never want to particularly invest if you have a substantial amount of debt. Now, I mean, just a few things here and there. You might have an old AT&T bill. I mean, definitely get those things out of the way.
Old AT&T bill.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when I was working like in the bank side. I would learn how many people had either old AT&T or old Comcast bills.
Because they rob you.
For some crazy amount. Like, I was like working in the bank like years ago, and like people would come in and literally have like a Comcast bill for like $118 from like 5 years ago, and I'm like, what is this? They're like, oh, I forgot to take whatever back, and it's just kind of been there, or they forget about it, or like something with like a cell phone. So cable company and cell phone tend to appear a lot on people's credit. So anything you kind of got like that, just kind of get that knocked off.
Okay.
And if we're not necessarily paying down debt, like you might not necessarily have any debts, you know what I'm saying, outside of like mortgage, car note, things like that, those aren't things you have to immediately pay off. But if that kind of isn't a thing, I would kind of advise people to have an emergency fund. Most people just kind of say like you want to start with at least $1,000 saved.
Okay.
Before you kind of like get in the weeds of like kind of investing in anything like that. I want to say that the general consensus, most people kind of say between 3 and 6 months of living expenses is really what you should be shooting towards in savings. But just depending on the situation, that can be kind of excessive for somebody that's like, I don't have any debt and I got $1,000 saved, but I don't want to miss opportunity now trying to save up 6 months of living expenses. So, but I would say at least have $1,000 in savings, because just depending on what kind of investing you do, it can be volatile. It can be, tricky.
Right.
You're more than likely going to have moments of correction when it pulls down, and you're going to have times, of growth and increase. But just to kind of deal with things that life might throw at you, having $1,000 is kind of a good thing. But so for the $50 category, I would say get started with something with one of the micro-shares apps, like what micro-shares. That's the two particularly that I have used and that I saw success with and that I liked were Acorns and Stash. They kind of make it real simple for you. They kind of ask you what your investment preferences are in terms of, are you conservative or do you like a lot of risk? And you can put small amounts there, $5, $10, and they start to purchase micro shares and stocks for you. And so it takes away the need to have to kind of monitor that thing itself. It's kind of like some form of management to it. But the most important thing about micro share investing apps is the right ones create saving habits. And so that's really what's most important, is being able to consistently put money back to invest. And so, like, the thing I like about Acorns is that it can tie to your debit card, and when you make a purchase, you can do something called roundups. You know, so if you spend $1.81, it'll round up to $2 and put 19 cents of change towards your account. And once you get so much money in roundups, it'll make purchase of securities for you. So I like that idea, especially for the younger people, you know, just kind of getting out with their early college or something like that. More importantly, because it just creates like the best kind of saving is done like through automation, like when people don't know that they're doing it. When people have to save on their own, they tend not to do it, which is why years back, the government kind of came and said, we're going to create something called 401ks and, like, you know, take it out of people's check, because what they learned after the Great Depression is, like, if we don't create something to make people save money and put money back, they won't do it. So whenever we can automate that process and get people into the habit of putting some money back without having to think about it, that's good. So yeah, if you got $50 sitting up, you know, look up some micro share investing apps, and, you know, kind of get started with that, and just kind of. And they have information and white papers on there, so you kind of learn a little bit about investing. It's a good beginner's platform. For the 500 category, now you might be able to get into things a little bit more in depth. I would look at getting into some, maybe you're looking at mutual funds or ETFs, or maybe even REITs, REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. These are things you can do self-directed. A lot of companies that offer mutual funds have their own site where you can get into. But the thing with mutual funds, ETFs, and funds in general, they normally have a minimum purchase to buy in. Now, a lot of them can be $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, but there's a core group where the minimum investment is $500. And so, and most times buying into mutual funds, you kind of get diversity, and, you know, you can kind of spread out your risk. So, and it kind of gives you, you know, more of a return, of course, when you're at $50 buying micro shares. And so yeah, in those kind of accounts you can open, you know, Schwab, TD Ameritrade, things of that nature. If you have like Merrill Edge, Fidelity, just things of that nature where you can kind of go, and it's called self-directed. You just kind of do it yourself, and get into those things without having to drop a substantial amount of money. And lastly, just the $5,000 category.
That's what we need to talk about. Right. So
that's what we need.
I'm engaged. What I need to do
okay.
is I'm trying to turn.
Well, now that I got you locked in, let me get to it. That's what I was waiting on. I was waiting to see when you was going to get engaged. But now that I got you, you just hold tight. We're getting right to you.
All right. So I'm ready.
So for $5,000, you know, this is where you might actually get into actually looking to work with an advisor. It's got to kind of tell people that, like, you know, how do I know when I need to work with an advisor? Like, whenever it's too much for you to manage for yourself. Because at that point, you can still purchase things like mutual funds and whatnot. But the thing is, now you want to get into like tailored solutions, customized solutions for you. So what your goal might be, and at the point where somebody has saved $5,000 or they've got $5,000 in an old 401k that they rolled over, you know, it's to a point now of specificity. So that's something that kind of allots, you know, time for just somebody to kind of look at it and say, okay, what's going on? You might need your own custom tailored solution. And one reason for this is you can have the benefit of kind of having what's called like guided investment, somebody that's kind of going along with you. And sometimes when you get with an institution or a firm, they can get things called like institutional shares, where they may be able to buy blocks and lots of things for, you know, prices when they manage your funds that as a regular consumer you might not be able to get. So you might have to pay, well, you can get it, but you might pay more for it. So those are just kind of the perks, because when you get to investing,
say, I got $5,000. Give me an example of how you gonna turn this into, I ain't gonna say 100. That might be too much pressure. How can you turn this into 20?
Well,
I'm aggressive. I'll answer this question before. I'm aggressive because they be like, "Are you aggressive, moderate?" I'm aggressive. I'm trying to turn 5 into 20.
And the question I would ask: are you comfortable with losing all 5?
No, I just need to lose 1,000.
Okay, so you're not as aggressive as you think you are.
No, I'm aggressive. I ain't.
When you're aggressive, you got to leave it all on the line.
A hero, not a zero. You know what
you come out, you go to 95% equities, and you let the chips fall where they may. But and generally speaking, people who are more aggressive tend to want to be in more equities. That means like individual stocks and companies, things that have a potential for more upside. So that's something for aggressive. Because like I said, it all depends on your timeline. Like I said, without looking at somebody's individual circumstances, I could never say. But typically, people in that hypothetical situation we just described who are super aggressive, they will probably want to talk to an advisor about having a lot of equity exposure, so that they can enjoy like what the market did last week. Enjoy, some of those gains that might be participating in. If you're in, funds or bonds, may not have received such a big boom. So like I said, it always comes back to individual need and individual timeline. But particularly people who are more aggressive look for either high equity exposure or, some sort of alternative fund. So that's kind of that on that, man. We, just kind of covered, the last week at a glance with the market, the big 3 winners and the big 3 losers. We kind of got into the 50, 500, and 5,000. Just kind of